Here's where I think the Cowboys fail us, fail themselves, fail their fans. The Cowboys, to me, are good at collecting players. They're not good at roster building. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference between drafting guys, developing guys, acquiring guys, but do they fit? Are they the pieces that you need brought together in a huddle on the side of the ball that gives you the best and the most efficient way to win, right? Because the roster always has names. Always has names. You're always going to find on this roster names that are consistently Pro Bowlers, All Pros, who are found in the top tier of that position, around the league. But when you look at it, it goes, we can't get that unit to be its absolute best together. That we can go on and beat someone else who may not have as much talent as us or equal talent than us, but their overall team roster is built in such a way they dominate us. And I've talked about this on this program many times about the regular season is one phase, and that's cool to compete, and that's cool to be a part of, and that's cool to have your way with that at times, and it's necessary, right? Like, in order to get to the big dance, you got to first get the invite.
Yeah.
And you get the invite by how you play during the regular season. But are you built from top to bottom in such a way that when you face as they say, the final bosses in the video games,
yeah,
you're not built to beat those guys, even with the guys that you have when you start talking about the top tier talent guys on this football team. I think the Cowboys are just really good at collecting players and drafting and developing, but the way that they put a roster together is not one of 30-something, close to 30 years of producing a champion.
I think they do the simple things in terms of roster building. That's the path they usually take. You want to draft a guy, cool, and then you want to develop him, then you want to pay him, right? And obviously they draw that out because of attention in terms of paying those guys that deserve to be paid. I just don't think they do the shrewd moves very often. The things where you're like, ooh, like, how did you do that? The things where other GMs go, ooh, that was nice. I think you go back a couple of years ago, Matthew Stafford was available, right? And the 49ers and Rams were both interested in him. And Kyle Shanahan was in Cabo, and he went to bed, and he thought that they were going to get Matthew Stafford in the morning. And at midnight that night, the Rams made a trade for Matthew Stafford. Got him before the 49ers could get him. Rams going to win the Super Bowl. 49ers still haven't. I think those moves where you talk about being competitive during the season and in the offseason, you got to be competitive in the offseason too. You got to have GMs aspire to do what you do. And I don't think the Cowboys do that.
And, they're not clever.
Yeah.
There's none of that.
When free agency starts, their whole family's on a yacht. They're not here.
But that goes back to what you've been saying and what you've been
Cowboys are
talking
their
about.
toy.
There's no urgency. Why would they don't feel the same sense of urgency to even show themselves as good owners, as good businessmen. I think maybe they feel as though they've already done that. And to Jesse's point earlier while we were talking before is just like the rest of the NFL. Like the rest of the NFL in your division, which we saw yesterday and you're probably going to see on, next week if, the Commanders play, is like these people are passing you by. I mean, Jaden Daniels is a player, dog. Like, he's a player. Philly's going to continue to build this roster. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep a lot of their coaching staff because they found some success with Fangio and Kellen Moore. Like, it's not going to get easier for you. And so I don't like that feeling's been sitting on me all season is I feel like not just the Cowboys, the NFL, like other teams are just passing you by and you do not do any of the things to stay relevant or to translate to your point to when you play other teams. It can't just be like centered to, can we beat our division? Can you go in the playoffs and beat other teams?
And right now, the answer to that would probably be no, right? You probably can't beat the Rams. You definitely can't beat Detroit. Minnesota might take you out back and work you over a little bit. You know what I mean? And these are the teams that you have to.
Eagles,
And if you had to run across Tampa Bay again, what would that be like? Right?
What would the Rams feel like?
you know
I
what I
know
mean?
that they're up and down, but at the same time,
I don't think you would want to. I think the way that McVay schemes stuff up, in the way that you can't stop the run, the way that he develops the run. But yeah, and you were talking about Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
And like you talking about acquiring him. And then I talk about building a roster. Okay, Matthew Stafford. Let's go get him some route runners, right? I go get a guy like Cooper Kupp, and you start adding those pieces around. I got Odell Beckham on, that time when they won the
When it
Super
worked,
Bowl.
yeah.
So like it's just like those things that you just go and get guys that fit. Like, yes, CD fits with anybody.
Mingo, baby.
Nah, I'm not with you.
He was
on
open.
that one. I'm not
but
with
you
no.
left his hand.
Nah,
No, I mean,
That's because I tricked him into the first half.
Nah.
I tricked him.
I went full on. That's my boy. We gonna rock this thing out. But then
He
you said
do
that
look
word.
like
Nah.
that.
So
Mingo, baby.
nah.
That's not how you build a.
Nah.
That's not how you build a roster. You just randomly
Yeah.
add one piece because everybody thinks that you're going to sell and you want to regenerate interest
But
in
you
your
add a
team, so you
piece-
overpay for somebody
But
that
you
doesn't
add a
fit.
piece that won't help your quarterback.